so today we're looking at stamping platforms, and you might have seen that Stampin' Up have launched a new stamping platform called Stamparatus. I suppose it's Stamparatus if you're American and Stamparatus if you're English. Anyway, I can't show you it because it's not been launched yet. It's being advertised though, so I'm allowed to talk about it. And I just wanted to sort of give my first impressions on it really, and compare it to, and do a demonstration using my existing stamping platform, and just explain a little bit the differences between this and the new Stampin' Up one, and why I think the Stampin' Up one is going to sort of knock the spots off everything else. So stamping platforms, if you're not sure, are these creations. There's a couple of different types on the market, and there's do-it-yourself ones as well out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a card, a very simple traditional sort of Christmas card, but it's using the Seasons Like Christmas stamp set. And to get this tree, you need 4 layers of stamping if you're going to add on the little dotty lights or what else, snowballs, whatever. So you need the stem. Mine are really dyed because I've used them so much, but you need the stem, and then you need your main sort of tree stamp, which is that one, and then you need one that's like a highlight, whichever way around you want to do it. This is the way around I do it. And then you need the baubles or the snowballs, whatever they are, and then you need the little bit of ground to give some dimension. And then I've got the sentiment. Okay, so I'm using 6 of these stamps, and if I put a star on top of the tree I'd be using 7. Now where a stamping platform is really handy is that you can position your whatever you're stamping onto, and you can position your stamps really, really precisely. Now with this one, there's 2 sides, so this comes off. It just lifts out of the hinges and you turn it around. And if you're stamping with wood stamps, you'd use one side, and if you're stamping with the photopolymer stamps like this, or the red rubber stamps, when I say wood stamps I mean the red rubber stamps, the thick ones, that would normally be like this, that would normally be mounted onto wooden blocks or used with the clear block. But so it says rubber here and it says clear here. The problem is, for me, I wasn't quite sure which side was which. This is the deeper side, so to me that's the rubber side. So it's a little bit confusing because this is the clear side. So anyway, I think we'll find that out in a minute because I've forgotten now which side's which. Anyway, but you can see it comes out nice and easily from its hinges. Now, one thing the Stamparatus or Stamparatus is going to do is it's got a few more. I think it's got about 4 hinges down the side, which are shorter. And what you can do with that is not just put it back into its hinges like this, but you can actually move it up and down. So you could start with your platform here, and then you could move it down to the next hinge, the next hinge, the next hinge. So what that does is it gives you the ability to sort of print multiple, a pattern with multiples, which this doesn't give you, because obviously if I wanted to print a little row of imagine I wanted to print that for some reason several times in a uniform pattern, I'd have to have either 4 of those and stick them all onto my thing, or I'd have to keep moving my paper. With the Stamparatus, you just move, you're just going to move your platform down, and then you'll get that perfect pattern, and then you could have 3 different stamps lined up, and then they'd just repeat. That was one of the things that blew my mind about the new platform from Stampin' Up, because I thought that's just so good, that's just so cool, because you can't really do that easily with anything else. So like this platform, the Stamparatus is going to have, it's got a plastic or perspex cover, and it's got two sides. But with the Stamparatus, instead of the two sides being different depths, because I don't know if you can see that, but this side is shallower and this side is deeper. No, yeah, this side's deeper and this side's shallower. So instead of that, it's the same on both sides, but you put a mat, depending on what stamps you're using, you put a little mat into here. So if you're using rubber stamps, you wouldn't use the mat, and if you're using photopolymer, you would use the mat. So that just gives you the depth. So all four of your platforms are all the same. And when I say all four, it's because with the new Stamparatus, instead of having the two sides, you also have another flap up here that flaps backwards and forwards, and that's got two sides. So you've got four kind of areas to put your stamp, and where that comes in handy, you're going to see in a minute. Right, so with this one, I open it up and I pop my piece of card in wherever, and I use my magnets to hold it. Now, the magnets are really strong. The magnets come with it, and the same with the Stamparatus. You get two magnets, although they're long strip magnets instead, and there's a storage space on the back for the strip magnets. I don't think there's a storage, no, there isn't a storage space on the back in this one. So that keeps them apart, so they're not going to accidentally attract and smash each other, because they can attract, they're quite strong, so they can attract with a lot of force and smash each other. Oh, by the way, do you like my Primark nails? My son's girlfriend bought me them. I think they were £1. Should have bought them to do your videos because they're Christmassy. They're so cute. And I haven't made a mistake. I just can't stand symmetry, so I've got my little gingerbread men on the wrong fingers. Anyway, that's another story. Right, so what you do now is, and forgive me if I've got this wrong, with this platform is I'd decide where I want my tree. So I'd pop my tree trunk there. I'm going to put it a little bit higher because I want to put my sentiment on there as well. So, sorry, I nearly made a mistake then. So you put it face down the way you want it to stamp out. Yeah? And I'm going to put my tree just above it there. Now I can load these two stamps up together. So then I just close my platform, give it a little press, in theory, and then pick my stamps up. And now my stamps are going to stay there unless I take them off. Okay, so that's great. Can you see what I'm doing? So the stamps are there, and they're going to stay there, hopefully. Now, you take your ink pad and you ink up. I've made a mistake already. Well, never mind. I wanted to do that in Espresso, but never mind, I've made a mistake. So I'm going to print it on. I'm going to ink it up with my ink pad. Now, you get ink all over the place. On the Stamparatus, it says that that ink will never transfer to your platform or to your paper. Only the ink on your actual stamp will. And I'm going to real red my sentiment just because I want to. Now, where I've got a bit of a problem here is this is quite big. So you might want to use the smaller ink dots to do that. Or you might want to just wait until you've done your stem and then do your sentiment. So now you just close it over and you press it down, and you've got your branch or your trunk stamped on there. Now, if I wanted to do hundreds of these, I could just do it every time. As long as my paper's in the same place, I could do it every time. And yeah, the ink hasn't transferred anywhere else, the ink that I've got on the platform. Now, I had to take this off and put my next stamp on. Yeah, stamp that, take that off, put my next stamp on, stamp that, which is what I'm going to do. Now, with the Stamparatus, I won't have to do that, because with the Stamparatus, I could put my next tree stamp on the top flap. I could put my next stamp on the other side of this one, and I could put my other stamp on the other side of the other one. So that rather than, so what I could do is I could go like this, print and print my stem, and then I could turn it around and print my next layer, print my next layer, turn it around, print my next layer, take it off, and put another piece of card stuck in and do exactly the same again. So all 4 of the stamps that I need for this would all be attached to something already, and I wouldn't have to faff with removing them. Now, what I'd have to do here to make sure every card, if I wanted every card to be perfect, so if I was doing like a wedding invitation, I'd have to now put my next one in, and my next one, and my next one, and my next one. And so that is a really, as far as I'm concerned, that's a really good thing about the Stamparatus, is that you're going to be able to stamp these multiple images without doing what I'm doing now, which is changing things around a bit. So I'm just going to put some red ink on here. It does look a bit of a faff at the minute because I'm explaining kind of 2 different things to you. But if I was to just do this, I mean, this is a great tool, believe me, it is a great tool. So what I've done is I've printed off the Thinking of You at Christmas, so that can go now. And now I'm going to ink up the tree, and I'm going to do that in Emerald Envy. I'll just ink up the tree. I was having a conversation on Facebook with another crafter, and we were saying that these ink pads are great because they're nice and big, and that's one thing we love about them. But for this kind of inking, I'd rather have the smaller. Now, and of course you can buy blank ones and just add ink and ink them up yourself, which is something I think I'd be doing when I get the new platform. So now I'd remove this, you see, and now I have to get my next one lined up. Now with the Stamparatus, it would all be done for me. I mean, I'd only have to do it once, because now I'm going to have to put all these back again, exactly where I wanted them, if I wanted to make another one. So can you see where that, you know, that real benefit comes in? Now, because I've gone wrong there, I'm going to add a different colour. Oh, strange old angle that was, trying to get my ink pad out. So yeah, that's the only thing I'd say, is that it might be less messy if you had smaller ink dots or ink spots, depending on which stamps we're using. If you're using a nice big stamp, then. But in support of the stamping platform itself, in terms of this one or any other one, you know, you do get a fantastic image by using one, because it's going to be consistent all the time. However, this is a little bit of a faff having to do that. You'd only have to do this once with the Stamparatus, and you'd be sorted, because you just put them all onto one of the different platforms. So you've got the 4 platforms. That's the big difference. There's 2 big differences. One is that you've got the 4 platforms, and 2 is that you can move them around. So you can, you know, I mean, a lot of Stampin' Up stamps are, I'm just looking at what's next to me. Daisy Delight, for instance, 2-step stamping, 2-step stamping, 2-step stamping. You know, you could have one of the daisies on here, one of them on there, just whack, whack, done, whack, whack, done. If you're going to be doing lots of different ones, lots of the same card, sorry. So let me just stamp that up, and it is doing a good job. It's not transferring any of this ink that's got splodged all over the place. It's a little bit messy because, I mean, you can obviously wipe your stamps before you remove them, and then this obviously wipes down. And I do have normally a pack of wipes right next to me, but they've disappeared for some reason. My son must have snaffled them off somewhere. Yeah, so that's it basically. So you do get your lovely, perfectly stamped image. And the other good thing about stamping platforms is that if I wanted, say this tree trunk isn't quite solid, if I wanted it solid, and it came out like this, I could stamp it up again and pop it back over and it would land in exactly the same place, because we all know what it's like. You've stamped, especially if you're stamping your own DSP, I've done it so many times, you stamp about 150 images and your last one isn't perfect and you think, oh, and so you try to line your stamp up again and you think you've done it and you just haven't. So this is, you know, really good. Stamping platforms are really good for that, because they really do, you know, give you that precision. And the new Stamparatus is going to do exactly the same thing. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, there are some key differences between the designs. Like I said, there's the foam mat, so that all four, well, for a start, you've got four Perspex stamp holders. So that's the first big difference, because there's one here and there's one there, and you can use both sides, whatever stamp you're using. Then you've got the foam mat that gives you the different depth for rubber or clear mount. Then the two magnets, that's the same, but the different sets. So the Stamparatus ones are about that long, and they're about, I'd say, about half an inch maybe wide. So they can sort of, you can get really up close to the edge. Mind you, you can get really up close to the edge with this, because, you know, they're very strong magnets, so you only need to be on the very, very edge and they're going to stay put. I think that the Stamparatus I think it's got grid lines on the base. Yeah, it's got grid lines on the base, but of course once you put your mat on for photopolymer, you're not going to be able to see those grid lines. So I think it also has grid lines on the platforms. I'm not quite sure, but I think it does. So it's a little bit different again there, but at the same time similar. It removes exactly the same as this one does, but like I said, it has several hinges, so you can step it up and down, and that is, for me, the two platforms and the stepping up and down are the key differences, and they're the deal clinchers for me. They're why, you know, I will be pre-ordering one. So that's it. So that's my sort of take on the stamping platform and those little differences. Now, I'm just going to, I can never get this to close properly. I'll clean it up in a minute. I'm not going to leave it like that. I'm just going to finish the card off, really. So what I've got here is I've got a 4x6, and I've got some Tombow, and I'm just going to stick on this. That's not, this is the extra thick, very vanilla cardstock, so it's quite thick. And I'm going to stick on the, some Emerald Envy as a mat. This is a really simple card, by the way, if you hadn't already gathered. Oh, I forgot to put my little bit of earth on, didn't I? Oh, never mind. I made a couple of mistakes there. I think it was because I was trying to explain and compare at the same time. So if you did want to order a Stamparatus, then demonstrators like myself, any demonstrator, and customers can all order it at the same time. There's no priority for demonstrators at all. You might start to see some items from the spring and summer and from Celebration appearing soon, though, because we've already got the catalogues for that, and there's some gorgeous stuff, and we can order from that next month. So then we can just start showing, we can't show product, but we can show the front of the catalogues, and we can show the things that we've made using products. So right, so that's a bit basic really. I would have put a bit of earth in here, and I would have put, in fact, let me just, I know it's a bit late now, but I'm just going to use the old traditional block method. I've made a right mess there, haven't I? Don't know where that came from, that pink colour. I'm just going to pop a bit of a bit of mud around, give it a little bit of something else. And then I might just stick some stars about just to cover up that little mess I made there. Should I make the stars? Yeah. I'll make the stars yellow. Not that you'll be able to see them very well, I don't think, but I'll just pop them around to cover up where I've made a bit of a mess. Oh, actually that was quite canny that matched up with the tartan in the background. So yeah, there we go. A simple card, but really the point of that was just to show you the stamping platform and also to explain the difference between the one we've got, the ones that are there on the market now, and the one that's coming. And that's quite a cute little card. Might send that as a wrap to somebody.